You were not born to be harmless. You were not made to be meek, silent, or invisible. And if you believe that being good means being weak, you've been lied to. Let me tell you something raw and uncomfortable. The world doesn't care about your excuses. It rewards strength. It respects power. It fears those who have faced their demons and sharpened themselves into something formidable. You must become a monster, not to harm, but to protect, not to destroy, but to build. Because unless you have the capacity for true power, your virtue is just a disguise for fragility. Real strength is not chaos unleashed, it's chaos mastered. If you can't stand up for yourself, defend your values, or assert your boundaries, then your so-called goodness is hollow. You're not morally superior, you're just safe to ignore. A transformed person is dangerous in the best way, not a tyrant, but someone who could wreak havoc, but chooses not to. That's real morality, strength with restraint. Start by developing yourself physically, mentally, emotionally. Read, train, think deeply, speak precisely, build discipline, because a monster who can choose peace is more honorable than a sheep who has no other option. Within every person lies chaos. Rage, lust, fear, pride. You're not exempt from this. But pretending those darker impulses don't exist only gives them power in the shadows. You cannot conquer what you refuse to confront. Transformation begins when you stop suppressing and start integrating. Don't be afraid to explore the parts of you that are sharp, painful, even terrifying. Get to know your own darkness, not to live in it, but to command it. When you take your inner beast, you become whole. Only then can you stop being a puppet of your emotions and become the master of your fate. A monster isn't someone who runs from burden. They walk toward it willingly. Comfort breeds decay. Ease invites stagnation. The person who seeks comfort before strength will always be ruled by stronger men. You want transformation. Pick up the heaviest load you can bear and carry it. Responsibility makes you solid. It grounds your chaos. It molds your potential into character. Choose to be someone who brings order into disorder. Someone who doesn't look away from suffering but confronts it head on. That's not just power, that's purpose. Words matter, actions matter more. If you can't articulate what you believe, if you speak with hesitation and act without clarity, then you've handed the world a leash and asked to be led. Precision is not about perfection. It's about clarity in conflict, firmness in boundaries, and honesty in action. The transformed individual doesn't mumble. He doesn't apologize for existing. He looks you in the eye and speaks with conviction. Because he knows what he stands for, and he won't kneel to chaos. Sharpen your tongue like a blade. Train your habits like armor, so when life strikes, and it will, you're not shattered, you're ready. So no, don't be soft. Don't be passive. The world already has enough cowards, enough fragile egos hiding behind politeness. Be a monster, not to destroy, but to protect. Be dangerous, so you never have to be afraid. Transform yourself into someone the world cannot break. Because when you become powerful and disciplined, when you take your inner beast and channel it into good, you don't just survive this life. Power is not about domination, nor is it about aggression for its own sake. Power, in its most noble form, is potential, sharpened, focused, and kept under conscious control. It's the ability to take action when action is needed, to speak when silence is cowardice, to stand firm when retreat is easier. The mistake many people make is believing that goodness is the absence of power, as if being passive, agreeable, or compliant is somehow virtuous. But goodness that cannot protect itself, that cannot say no, that cannot defend what is right, isn't goodness at all. It's weakness masquerading as morality. A person who has no capacity for danger is not good. They are merely incapable. A truly good person is someone who could cause serious harm, but chooses not to. That distinction is everything, because if you don't have power, real, cultivated, and tested power, then your peacefulness isn't a choice. It's the only option available to you. You're not harmless because you're righteous. You're harmless because you're helpless, and there's a profound difference between the two. To transform into a person of real substance, you have to become someone who can control and direct their own power. This is where discipline enters. It's not enough to be angry about your failures or frustrated at the world. You have to do something about it. Read books that challenge your thinking. Train your body to endure pressure. Learn how to sit with discomfort. Take accountability. Speak clearly and deliberately. These are not soft habits. They are the slow, painful chiseling of a human being into something formidable. And remember, the world does not reward niceness. It rewards competence. It rewards strength. It responds to those who show up prepared, who walk into rooms with presence, who have done the internal and external work. When you become that person, the one who has teeth but keeps them hidden, who has rage but doesn't let it spill, who can fight but chooses to protect, then you become dangerous in the best possible way. This kind of transformation isn't fast, and it certainly isn't easy, but it is absolutely necessary, because life will challenge you, people will test you, and if you haven't built the foundation of true power under control, you'll crumble. So the goal is not to be harmless, the goal is to be powerful, and choose restraint. That is the true measure of someone who's transformed. Within every human being exists a realm of darkness, chaos that we pretend isn't there. Anger, envy, lust, fear, bitterness, these aren't foreign invaders, they are native to your psyche. You're not a clean slate, you're a battleground, and until you recognize that, you'll never truly be free. The part of you that lies, that wants revenge, that fantasizes about destruction, it doesn't go away because you ignore it. It waits, it festers, and one day it breaks through in ways you didn't see coming. That's why the path to real transformation begins not with denial, but with confrontation. People want to believe they are purely good. They wear their innocence like armor, thinking it protects them from moral failure. But the truth is, no one is innocent. We are all capable of cruelty, of betrayal, of inflicting suffering, and that capacity does not make you evil, it makes you human. The danger is not in acknowledging your inner darkness, the danger is in pretending you don't have it. Because when you repress those impulses, they don't disappear. They control you from the shadows. If you want to transform yourself into someone truly powerful, you have to face that internal dragon. You have to enter the cave willingly, not to be consumed by the darkness, but to learn its shape. Understand your jealousy, study your anger, acknowledge your pride. These parts of you hold vital energy that, if left unchecked, will destroy you, but if integrated, can strengthen you. That's the paradox. The monster you fear within you is the same force that, once mastered, gives you the strength to defend, to persevere, and to lead. Facing your inner chaos isn't about indulging in it. It's about integrating it. The person who knows their shadow is dangerous, but only because they've brought it into the light. They aren't led by impulse, but they understand it. They aren't ruled by rage, but they know how to call upon strength when the time comes. That kind of self-knowledge breeds resilience, it builds depth, and it's far more stable than pretending to be nice all the time. This is where transformation becomes real, when you can look into your own soul and not flinch. When you see your flaws, your rage, your pain, and instead of running, you absorb them into your being with wisdom and responsibility. That's when you stop being at war with yourself. That's when you become whole. And only the whole person, not the fragmented one, can truly wield power without being corrupted by it. Most people run from responsibility. They see it as a burden, as something that limits their freedom or weighs down their spirit. But this perspective is not only misguided, it's dangerous. Responsibility is not what holds you back. It's what forges you into something solid. Without it, you remain scattered, aimless, and fragile. With it, you find purpose, structure, and direction. If you want to become something formidable, if you want to transform yourself into a force the world cannot ignore, then you must seek responsibility, not avoid it. The truly powerful are those who voluntarily take on the burdens of life. They don't wait to be forced. They don't wait for someone else to fix things. They look around at the chaos, the pain, the disorder, and they step forward. Not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. That act alone separates the mature from the immature, the predator from the prey. Strength isn't just found in the body, it's forged in the soul of the person who decides, this problem is mine to solve. Carrying a heavy load shapes you. When you decide to take responsibility for your life, your actions, your thoughts, your habits, and even the people around you, you begin to change, you become stable, grounded, reliable, you walk differently. You speak with more certainty. Why? Because you've earned your place. You've endured suffering with your eyes wide open, and you didn't collapse under the weight of it. You grew stronger through it. The world is full of people waiting to be rescued, waiting for motivation, waiting for someone else to clean up the mess. But transformation doesn't come to the passive. It comes to those who get up every day and say, give me something difficult, give me something meaningful, let me carry the load others refuse to. That attitude, that mindset, is what separates those who merely exist from those who lead. You want to feel alive. You want to escape the numbness and chaos. Pick something heavy and carry it. Build discipline through repetition. Build character through struggle. It doesn't matter where you start. What matters is that you begin. Choose something today, a goal, a responsibility, a standard, and commit to it. The weight will test you. It will exhaust you, but in that struggle, you will discover who you really are and what you're truly capable of becoming. Words shape the world. Every movement that has ever sparked change, every revolution, every moment of growth began with an idea clearly expressed. But most people go through life fumbling with their speech, hiding behind vague words, uncertain thoughts, and half-hearted actions. They don't realize that inarticulacy is a weakness. If you can't speak with precision, you can't think clearly. And if you can't think clearly, you can't act decisively. Without precision in language and in action, you become a ghost in your own life, present but powerless. You must train yourself to speak and act with sharp clarity. That means saying what you mean and meaning what you say. It means choosing your words like a surgeon chooses instruments, carefully, intentionally, and with the goal of healing or cutting cleanly. There is no strength in rambling. There is no confidence in vagueness. The person who has done the internal work of defining their beliefs, examining their motives, and disciplining their tongue becomes unshakable in conversation. They are not loud, but they are firm. Not aggressive, but assertive. They don't shout to be heard. They speak so clearly that others stop to listen. Precision must also extend to your actions. A sloppy life is a sign of a scattered mind. If your room is a mess, if your schedule is chaotic, if your decisions are impulsive, you're not free. You're ruled by disorganization. Precision is discipline in motion. It's knowing what needs to be done when it needs to be done and doing it well every time. It's the foundation of integrity. People who act with precision don't need to explain themselves constantly. Their consistency speaks for them. Their word means something because they've trained themselves to align word and deed. But developing this kind of sharpness isn't automatic. It requires intense self-observation and the courage to tell the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. It requires you to eliminate lazy language like "I don't know," or "whatever," or "it's fine," and replace it with specific statements, deliberate actions, and clearly drawn lines. When you do this, you become someone others can trust. Because you trust yourself, you become reliable, composed, and effective. People listen not because you're loud, but because you're coherent. They follow not because you demand it, but because you're aligned, consistent, and grounded. In a world filled with noise, the person who speaks and acts with clarity becomes a rare force, respected, decisive, and transformative. And that kind of presence isn't born, it's built word by word, action by action, day after day. The journey of transformation, true, lasting, and brutal transformation, does not begin with comfort, it begins with confrontation. You must face the uncomfortable truth that you are not yet who you could be. You are capable of more strength, more discipline, more depth, but you've settled. You've been conditioned to avoid power, to fear your own potential, to hide behind the illusion of harmlessness. But transformation demands that you challenge that lie. It calls you to step forward, not as a passive bystander in your own life, but as a conscious force willing to wrestle with chaos, harness it, and shape yourself into something formidable. You are not made to be soft. You are made to endure, to overcome, to rise with fire in your spirit and weight on your shoulders, to become a monster. In the best sense of the word, you must cultivate power under control. You must face your inner darkness, not with shame, but with purpose, because within that darkness lies your greatest potential. If you ignore it, it controls you, but if you integrate it, you command it. And this is not a metaphor. This is psychological, emotional, even spiritual reality. You will never find strength by pretending you are all light. You will find it by acknowledging your chaos and tempering it with discipline. The people who survive, who succeed, who leave a legacy, are not those who deny their capacity for destruction, but those who channel it toward meaning and order. The next step is responsibility. That's the cornerstone. You don't become powerful by running from difficulty. You grow by carrying burdens that make you stronger. Every responsibility you accept voluntarily, every discipline you practice, every challenge you face without flinching, that's the sculptor's hammer against your rough edges. Most people avoid responsibility because it's hard. That's the point. That's exactly why it's necessary. The load you carry becomes the structure of your soul. Responsibility doesn't limit you, it defines you. And the more you take on willingly, the more capable and resilient you become. You begin to trust yourself, and eventually others do too. That's how leadership is born, not in titles or noise, but in quiet strength and unwavering presence. And finally, you must learn to sharpen your voice and align your actions. To speak with precision is to declare, I know what I believe, and I know who I am. And to act with discipline is to back those words with real integrity. No more excuses, no more vague living. You will no longer drift, you will decide. The world doesn't need more passive people. It needs monsters with hearts, warriors who serve, beasts who build, dangerous people who are good by choice. That's your calling, that's your responsibility, and that's your path, if you dare to take it. Transform yourself into a monster, not to destroy, but to protect, not to dominate, but to lead, not to escape life's chaos, but to master it. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this message. If this speech challenged you, stirred something deep within you, or reminded you of your potential, don't let it stop here. Apply it, live it. Let it push you into action. If you found value in this video, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. Your support helps bring more powerful content to those who need it most. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss a moment that could change your mindset and your life. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear how this message impacted you. Let's grow together, let's rise together, and let's walk this path of transformation with courage and conviction. Until next time, stay strong, stay focused, and never stop becoming who you were meant to be. Thank you and goodbye.